All right.
All right, Red Sox documentary.
Yeah, so it's called The Comeback on
The
Netflix.
comeback.
Just came out. Was really, really excited for this.
Yeah,
Um, you watched it. We both watched it all over the weekend. What are your thoughts?
I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I'm glad we got to see more of this just because we were so young,
Yep.
and I know like the players on the team, and I know obviously the comeback, but I never really knew anything about the specifics. Like I knew it was like we got rinsed that one game. The next day came back and won in extras, then won in extras again off the Poppy double
Yep.
walk off. But I didn't know anything of like the ins
The
of the
nitty
team. I knew
gritty.
Kevin Millar was on the team. I didn't know Kevin Millar was this, I guess, jackrabbit in the clubhouse, like
Yeah.
controlling the vibes, making everyone shave their heads and stuff. I never would have known that. So I'm glad we got to see that. What were your thoughts?
Yeah. Similar thoughts. I'm glad. I knew the same like you said about '04, but I didn't know that much about '03. I knew obviously
Yeah.
the
Yep.
Boone homer was insane and super heartbreaking, but I didn't know like all the first episode was all build up, which was cool. I didn't know a lot of that stuff, so that was nice. The
Yeah.
context was cool. I also, and I think you'll agree, said that like if if Pedro was playing now, our generation would love Pedro. And like there
Yeah.
we already do. Like we already would have said like, oh yeah, Pedro's the best. But like just seeing him in that doc, like he is the man. And I that is up there with players, Boston athletes that I wish I got to root for like during his actual prime because he seemed awesome.
I agree, but also it seemed like every game they showed of him, he just got shelled.
I know, which is weird. I wonder
Like
if it's because
I
they've
know he
done
was
the like
awesome.
yeah, they've
Yeah.
done the Pedro is awesome thing a bunch, so they wanted to highlight that he like struggled in the '03 when old buddy left him in there for way too long. Like,
Yeah.
but him just talking about like I'm gonna hurt you if you like if you
Oh
hurt
my
my
god,
players.
that was awesome, and that's in my
So
brain what
awesome.
I think Brian Bello is going to be, and it's just not. But anyway, he was awesome. I would have loved to live through seeing
Yeah,
him be pumped up and being
uh,
like, remember,
yeah. Oh my god,
remember.
so sick,
It
so
was so
sick.
awesome.
And then he's like, I'm just gonna drill him. The A Rod Veritek fight, like I've seen that picture a gazillion times, of course, but just reliving
Veritech
it.
just being like captain, like that's just
Yeah,
he's
sick.
maybe I don't know. There's so many guys that you
I
could fall
know.
in love with on that team.
And what's awesome is Veritek's back. Like Veritek's a coach now, which is so cool.
Yeah,
I
I know.
think he is like the caregiver of Wakefield's kids now.
I think so as well. I would have loved, and that's another guy I was going to talk about. I would have loved to have just watch Tim Wakefield game after game just hum knuckleballs. I loved
Oh,
knuckleballs when I was younger. I don't know what it was. Like R.A. Dickey was my hero,
yeah, that's a yeah.
and seeing like what if seeing Tim Wakefield? Oh, that'd have been awesome.
I
Him
loved how
starting,
he. I didn't know he like got. Well,
he was
I
a
did.
really
I think that homer was off him right against Boone,
yeah.
and in '03, and it's like fuck. It's like that's not really your fault, like, but it sucks. And then him being a huge part of the '04 run, I was like, this is awesome,
I know, I know. There's so many guys. It was awesome. Theo Epstein's like amazing.
amazing,
He's
amazing.
amazing. I did
And you
not
brought
know
up
he was 28 when he got
I knew
hired.
he was super young just because the guy who brought him to Boston happened to be my college professor,
Oh right.
um, which is crazy. He was in the doc briefly, but yeah, crazy. And like 28. And also, you texted
Dude,
me last night,
imagine 6 years from now, you're just the GM of the Red Sox.
the Red Sox,
And
GM of
he
the Red
grew up
Sox.
a mile away from Fenway.
Yep, yep.
Yeah.
So he was, hired as an intern with the Orioles under like the Charles Steinbergs and Larry Lucinos of the world. And then they all went to Boston. What I wanted them to touch on that they didn't was that they were going to tear down Fenway Park. And then
Oh.
John Henry came in and was like, "Don't do that." I have some things about John Henry in a minute, but
Yeah.
uh,
Well, do you want to get into that? One thing I was
yeah,
going to say before I forgot was that we were like, I wish I could be alive for this. I don't know if like I'd want to be my age in the 90s in Boston sports history.
yeah, same.
I'm pretty grateful where we are now. It would have been awesome to watch that one because like you break the curse, but we were just, I mean, there was
Yeah,
nothing
blessed.
to look forward to.
Same. Yeah, no, would have hated
Nothing.
it honestly.
Yeah.
I'll take all the memory. I'll take all the stories of that.
Yeah. And being
Yeah,
like, I was alive for that.
I was alive. Yeah, my dad was like, "I was gonna wake you up," but then your mom was like, "You wouldn't remember
But
it. You
then
were
you were too.
a year and a half old." Yeah,
Yeah.
so unfortunately, but yeah, I was too. The one more thing on Theo, you texted me last night. I didn't realize that it was Billy Bean. I knew Billy Bean was like he
Mhm.
rejected the offer from John Henry, but I didn't know it was going to be Billy Bean with Theo as his number two. That would have been crazy.
I know. That would have been
That would
so
have,
sick.
that would have been so
But I
cool. But I
like
mean,
though I forget his name, but I like the other guy that
oh,
was his
Jed
number.
Hoyer.
Yeah, the story of him
Yeah,
about to like blow chunks at what's
I
his name?
completely forgot it. Like I had heard about because he was always like the number two who was just like really good at his job.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, nice. I think he's the president of the Cubs now. Like I think he just took over from Theo when Theo left the Cubs.
Oh, that's cool.
So, but yeah, hilarious story. He also just seemed like the man. I was like, why did we not like think about giving him the GM spot after Theo left? But
I
whatever.
know. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't either.
I don't
We
know.
did pretty well. We want to talk about the ownership because those were some
Yeah.
interesting,
I mean,
interesting things.
seeing John Henry walk in there and being like, we're gonna make this a competitive ball club. We're gonna go dollar for dollar with the Yankees. Like we're gonna compete. We need to win. Like reverse the curse. And now he is like, if I spend $1, how will I ever recover? How will I financially recover?
Yeah,
He's like,
yeah,
I'm still gonna sell the seats in Fenway Park, but I can't buy a single player.
yep.
The difference is like that's what we need right now is someone to come in and John Henry.
100%.
Yeah.
It's so the line in the doc was so ironic because it was like, yeah, like they were just looking at Fenway Park as an investment, like the old owners, like they didn't have any desire to match the Yankees or
Yep.
anything like that. And then John Henry and the boys came in and completely revitalized it. I'm like, that's where we are now. That's what you've completely become your
Yep.
predecessors, which is just like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's been a great run, but it's like, oh,
I
like,
know. I know.
oh,
It has. So I wouldn't trade it, but it's like you should now realize, like, look in the mirror. How do you not look in the mirror while you're saying that being interviewed in the documentary
right?
that you haven't spent a nickel?
Like,
And the
like,
thing is, we don't have probably the level of guys we did in '03 or whatever they got it, 2002.
mhm.
But we have guys that like could be the foundation of a championship roster.
Yeah, I would say we're in a better spot. I mean, we have a way better farm system.
Way better farm system. We don't have like an
Ortiz.
ace like we did.
Yeah, definitely
David
don't have.
Ortiz
Yeah.
or I mean Nomar was another part of the doc that was super interesting to me because I knew Nomar really only the name of like he was the Red
Mhm.
Sox shortstop, but I didn't know anything really about that whole trade
Saga.
that fell through. I didn't know anything about that. Um,
How about Kevin Millar getting on and was like, "We'll take A-Rod." It's like,
yeah,
oh my
I
God,
know.
he
Why
would have
don't
been
you?
a hilarious guy to like be
I
like one of
know.
your guys. Like,
He
oh
would
my
have been
God,
awesome to just like watch. That's one of
yeah,
those things where it's like, why even go on ESPN?
I know, I know. And
Why?
it was
How
one
much
of the
money are they giving you? Just
I
go
know.
talk.
Did they even pay him to do that? Like
Yeah.
one of the more hilarious moments of the doc was when the interviewer told him like what the
The
ESPN guy
quote
actually,
was, yeah.
and he was like, "What? I didn't even know after 20 years. I didn't
And
even
then he was
know."
like, oh, I guess he should have been mad. Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense. It's like
Yeah.
yeah,
I would have been mad too.
it's been 20 years. You didn't rewatch the interview once? Like
I know.
it's hilarious. But what's great, which I did know this about A-Rod is how close he was to being a member of the Boston Red Sox. Like that
I
is
know. It would have been, I mean, now he is like one of my most hated people of all time. And he
yep.
would have been one of my most favorite people of all time. That's
It's
so
so
weird.
crazy. What I also didn't realize, and that I'm sure I could have if I just like thought about it, but how revered he was like defensively at shortstop. Because
And then
I
they
just
just shipped him over to the third.
my whole life was him at third. You know what I mean? And I was just like, oh, I didn't know he was like Fernando Tatis. Like
And
I
then he
didn't
won one
Gold Glove
World
or
Series. No,
yeah,
one
yeah,
World
yeah. One
Series.
World Series, '09, right? Yeah.
He's like, I came here to win chips. Like, I'll just go play third.
I know he only won
Like,
one, and they were
dude,
stacked.
what?
I love it. I love it.
I know, but how do you like make a career choice like that? You're like, I'm coming to the Yankees. Like, we're gonna win championships. I'll just play third. It's whatever. And then you win one ring.
I know. I know.
It's
Well, I'll go to the
crazy.
Yankees with Derek Jeter on the team. Like
Jeter's
probably the
such a
one
douche.
short. Yeah, it was wild. It was wild, and it was sucks that the players' union was the one that like vetoed that. But whatever.
Yeah, it seemed like it was kind of falling through anyway. But
Yeah.
I have another thing with Nomar where they were just
Yeah.
kind of. I mean, he was the guy. He was like the Red Sox. Everyone, they interviewed the fans and they're like, "Yeah, it's fucking Nomar." Like
Yeah. No
Nomar's the
worries.
guy.
Yep.
And then they're like, "Yeah, he's just not really doing it for us. Like we caused some problems in the clubhouse," which I get that part. But how like was he that bad defensively? How bad was he?
I know.
Like I looked at his numbers, like I couldn't find his like error stats, but he raked. He batted like 320
Damn.
that
Really?
year.
The
That year,
'04
yeah,
season. Damn.
or the '03 season. Then the '04 season, he was batting 300, and they just were like, he can't really field.
I know. It's so
You're not going to win
interesting.
a World Series with him at shortstop, and it's like, all right. And then you trade for what's his name, Orlando Cabrera,
Yeah, Orlando Cabrera, who could not hit. I don't think.
who couldn't hit, but he could field, and they were like, that's really all it takes. And earlier in the doc, they were like, all we need is guys that get on base, and we'll win.
Yeah, right. I
Play
know
for a
the
guy that
Moneyball
can't get
thing.
on base, and
It's like the reverse Moneyball thing. I was like, I thought you guys were like money analytics people. Yeah, I don't know.
I know,
It
but I
was,
also hate that they just cruised over Orlando Cabrera because he was a Gold Glove shortstop at the most important position, and they didn't talk to him once or anything. And it was like
I know.
he
I
was,
wanted to know more. I kept asking my dad about him. I was like, "Who's this
yeah.
corp?" And he was like, "Dude, he was really good actually. Like we were
I
pumped
might
when we got
I
him."
might have to rewatch it with my dad to ask him questions too because I just kind of freeballed it.
Yeah, I was like, "Is this guy?" I didn't even know. I actually had no idea who even had replaced Nomar. And he was like, "Oh no, he
I would
was."
have loved to know if he was actually like that bad at like defensively.
I know, right? Like,
Yeah,
is he that much of a problem? I think probably the part that made people mad was it must have been like the July 4th Yankees weekend when he just didn't play.
yeah. He sat out and then he asked to like pinch hit, and they're just like, yeah, fuck it,
They're
dude.
oh,
Tito is the
Tito,
best.
the
Tito's
best,
the best.
the best, and that's all
I
you've
love how
heard
he
too.
kept just being like, "Yeah, I was just in my underwear in the clubhouse." Like like three
All the time.
times he was like, "I got suspended," and the boys came in, and I was just in my underwear. It's like, all right, you didn't have to
You must,
say like we don't
did you
really
do that
care.
often? Like, yeah, it seemed
Yeah,
like you did that often. I love it though. I love it. I like, yeah,
so
he
funny.
he
I like
he was the man.
my favorite was when like they asked each player about him, and everyone's like, "Oh, dude, Tito, I love Tito. Like he was the best."
No, it was yeah. Everyone had like the same reaction. Like it was just like,
Yeah,
ah, that guy. That guy was
no,
so sick.
Doc was awesome.
Just hired as a manager again, which is
Yep,
amazing.
I know.
Cincinnati, right?
Awesome
So
doc
good.
though. If you haven't seen it, I'd go watch it.
Awesome doc. Awesome doc.
Yeah, I have one other
Ortiz.
thing.
It was cool seeing the
Yeah,
Ortiz stuff because like that's like the first. I watched the Red Sox a lot when I was growing up, but I obviously missed like I was too young for '07, and so I watched them when they were like in that weird slump and like 11, 12, 13, like and 12 when like Bobby Valentine. They were really bad, but I watched them like every night in the summer because I'm like 10
yeah,
years old. I have nothing better to
yeah.
do. And so I was really dialed into the 2013 run. And that was when like David Ortiz was just like every time he got up, it was a hit. It felt like, you know what I mean? And he had a
Yeah.
bunch of walk-offs. He had that grand slam against the Tigers in 13. So I was like, this guy's unbelievable. So it was it was cool to see like the birth of that in '04 when Theo was like, I've never seen like major leaguers like revere another major
I
leaguer,
know
like the
the
way they
back-to-back
started to
walk-offs.
revere. Yeah.
It's
Like
crazy how the Twins just passed on him. Like baseball's
oh,
crazy because
it's crazy. Yes.
they just passed on him, and the Sox like weren't playing him every night, and then he just turned into this like unanimous Hall of Fame play. Like
I know. What's so
it's so
interesting too
cool.
is like Tito, like some guys can just see it, and baseball is just so weird in that way. Where Tito was like talking about that story of him in the batting cage when Tito was just watching him, and he was like, "Yeah, do you got anything for me? You've been watching me for like an hour," and he was like, "No, dude,
He's
you're one of the best in the game. Like, just go hit it, you know." And then
yeah,
like since then, it's
and
like
then
so
20
weird.
straight years of dingers. I mean,
Yeah, crazy.
it's literally like I'm not gonna make this comparison, but I'm gonna say it.
Mhm.
It'd be like if Bobby, what's his name? Bobby Dahlback. Like we
Yeah,
released Bobby Dahlback, and he just went to another team,
yeah,
and after a month just started raking. Like no one would be surprised because he's hit homers before, and he hasn't like gotten a. I mean, he's gotten a chance. He's played plenty of games, but like I don't
yeah,
know.
and became
That's
this
what
like
it must have been like for the Twins. They just like didn't play him, and they whatever
that's
shipped him
probably what
off.
it felt like, right? It's like this guy hits some home runs sometimes. He's just not doing it for us though, you
It's either
know.
home runs or strikeouts, and he's like
Yeah.
not the best first baseman defensively. So
Best clutch
whatever.
hitter ever, probably.
And then
Like,
he just it's
but
amazing.
baseball that's a cool thing about this is it kind of got me like I've been so down on baseball the last couple of years that like this kind of got I'm like, God, dude, baseball is real. Like, baseball is cool. It has a bunch of different wrinkles that like other sports just don't have at all, and it's
Yeah,
like so much of it is just mental. Like the idea of like pitchers like having their stuff or not having their stuff is like so interesting to me. It's like
and how the batters know.
I know. Also, that was crazy how like Ortiz would just be like, "Yeah, this reliever came in, and I know he loves to throw like an
No,
off
up and
speed
in.
cutter."
So I'm
And
taking the yard.
I'm like,
Yeah.
what? Like, how do you just
Yep.
know that? Like,
And
crazy.
what's his name? The Yankees dude that they added that let off.
The what's his face there? Bat like
Yeah,
this? Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. He was good. He was really good. Who they signed leading up to '04?
yeah. He was awesome, but he was like I knew with that first pitch. What's his name? I don't know any names. Didn't
Schilling?
have his. Yeah, Kurt Schilling just didn't have his stuff.
Yeah,
First
yeah,
pitch,
yeah. You knew on the first pitch, he was like, "Oh, this isn't Kurt Schilling." And it was
and
like,
then he just got lit up.
how about that? How about that bloody ankle? That's another thing I didn't know. Maybe I knew at some point, but I knew he had like obviously I knew he had some ankle injury. I did not know they like the doctor did a test on a dead body the day before and was like, I think I can do it. He
Yeah,
was like, okay.
I knew he got surgery like 2 days before, and that's why he was bleeding. But I didn't know like that they were like, yeah, your tendon's like not on your bone.
Yeah.
Something like that. So like, oh, okay.
I
He's
love
been
how
pitching the
Schelling was
whole
yeah.
year, so
I love how Schelling was like, "Well, you did the experimental surgery," and I kept being like, "Yeah, on a dead guy, like a day
Yeah,
ago." Like,
and
what
he
was
hasn't
that?
walked. The guy's not
No,
walking.
yeah,
Yeah.
oh, so great.
My only other note was that they made for like 90% of the documentary. It seemed like they made it so Manny like hated this Red Sox,
I know.
and then they were like, for 5 minutes they did like that little Manny. What was it? Manny being Manny or something like
Oh,
Manny
probably basically, like when he in the spring training stuff, or
when he was like holding up the sign in the
oh yeah,
like when the Green Monster held up the sign and it was like Manny whatever another episode of Manny TV or something like that.
yeah.
But for most of the doc, it was just like he was like, "Get me the fuck out of here! I hate this place."
I
Blah, blah,
know.
blah.
That's what my dad said. He was like, I don't think that painted Manny in the best light. And my dad was like, dude, Manny
Manny,
was like my favorite player, and he was like,
dude,
all of my friends play
that's
favorite
what I was.
players.
I was hoping they were getting get more into that, dude. There was like, remember when he would like catch a ball, run up the wall, and like high five someone, and then throw it in.
Yeah, yeah. My dad he always his favorite Red Sox memories. He was in Camden Yards in Baltimore watching, and they were like Manny, Manny, and he turned around and was like, "What's up, fellas?" And like he's like, "That was so cool." I was so yeah,
And
I
Manny,
was
Manny would rake. They like didn't
great.
highlight that rake.
That was the '07 year, wasn't it? When he hit that fucking like over the
Yeah,
Green Monster.
yeah.
Like that's another thing
He
too.
was
It's
like,
like yeah. That he stayed for like 4 more years. So I don't know what
yeah,
the yeah.
I know.
That was kind of annoying.
And Johnny Damon would I would have liked to talk to him more.
Ugh. It's crazy as he just went to the Yankees after. That's
I
so
know.
weird. So
Yep.
weird. But yeah,
So many of those guys, that outfielders that just turn into nothing on the
I know.
Yankees.
The same thing. Yeah. I mean, just talk about characters though. Talk about
So many
characters.
guys. So many guys.
So many guys. Millar is hilarious. Like
I
hilarious.
can't wait till we're old guys and we get to watch like the Celtics documentary, and I'm like, oh
Yeah.
my
I'm
god.
like, dude, you should have seen Derek White.
I
Like
know. Derek White, yeah. He was
what's also cool is like how like dialed in they were. They're just like how the media. It's kind of been. I don't know. It's like it's not a, this as it's not the same as it was back then. It's like a different vibe. I think it's a bit more hostile vibe now. But like Millar just talking to Dan Shaughnessy, and he's like we'll put Dan Shaughnessy batting or pitching in Game 7. You know, anything can happen in Game 7. Just like
I
and
know. He's like, nice hair, buddy.
Yeah. Like that's so funny. Like I'm
I know.
yeah.
Nowadays that'd be like a huge headline. He'd be like,
Exactly.
oh, Jaron Duran chirped a reporter.
Right. Yeah. But back then everyone was just boys. And the Jack Daniels, I mean, crazy.
Awesome.
Poppy was
Go
like,
watch
yeah.
that documentary if you haven't.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was great.